The Dr. Taz Show, the podcast. Dr. Taz, Superwoman Wellness. Here's Dr. Taz.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Superwoman Wellness, where we're determined to bring you back to your superpowered self. And joining me today is a very special guest on a topic I get asked about all the time. CBD, yes or no, or it's weird. What do we think? And, I was scrolling actually through Instagram earlier today, and I was seeing all these posts, like someone just published a book on CBD, someone's promoting CBD. And I can even tell you personally, we get sent CBD products all the time. So this is a really hot topic. I'm surprised I haven't done a show on it earlier, but I want to introduce you guys to Dr. Andrew Kerklaan. Welcome to the show. He's got more than 20 years of experience at the pulse of the global health and wellness industry and has dedicated his life's work to understanding all avenues of skincare, specifically honing in on the benefits of CBD in skincare, sleeping patterns, and non-invasive pain management solutions. He completed his studies in Toronto, Canada, and launched his career in London, England, at a prestigious clinics where his patients included rock stars and royalty. Ooh, gossip. I love the gossip. Maybe I can get some out of him. We'll see. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kerklaan. We're thrilled to have you on. And of course, we're going to pump you for gossip. But first, let's talk CBD. How did you get involved in the world of CBD to begin with?
Well, Dr. Taz, it's great to meet you. It's been quite the journey, and interesting to hear you read the bio back to me, because life does go by very quickly. And certainly in the last few years, because it's been just crazy roller coasters, as you're saying, just so much interest and so many questions about CBD. I actually in 2013 had patients arriving. I'm Canadian, so in Canada we had this legalization of medical cannabis. So whether it was THC or CBD, but I had patients suddenly arriving asking questions about CBD. I didn't know all that much about it. I went off and started to research, and I always felt it was my really obligation to be able to provide information to patients and answer questions. So I went off and studied and learned, and was really amazed at historical use, and then some of the physiological research that was out there, some of the clinical trials that were starting to take place, and really just this fascination and interest from patients and consumers about the topic. Yeah. And so 2015, 16, I was contemplating developing products. I had patients that we were actually able to provide some samples and test, and some really amazing responses, but there was really nothing out there at the time I could recommend as a health professional. Lots of products with green leaves and things that I probably wouldn't bring up in practice. So 2016 into 17, we did a lot of product development and research, focus group studies, all sorts of things. And lo and behold, I was founding a brand and entered into this crazy journey of brand development and really international opportunity at this point, and just a crazy, exciting trip.
That's amazing. And I think, like so many of us, we kind of stumble into doing things because we're trying to get answers. And the next thing you look up and you're like, oh dear God, what have I done here? So
that's right.
Talk to us just about CBD in general, because I've got to be honest, I've had the same issue. Like, I know it's helpful. I've looked at the research. I'm starting to understand the whole endocannabinoid system.
Yep.
But how do I know a product is a good product? And both as a physician and a consumer, what are we really looking for?
For sure, from a consumer perspective, you got to do some research on the brand, do some research on the products, look at the labels, make sure it does indicate how much CBD is in there. It should definitely call out CBD, because hemp oil is a different creature, possibly altogether. So you want to see there's a CBD concentration or CBD milligrams in there. You should be able to find the COAs, the lab tests on the product to confirm that there's no bacteria in it, there's no heavy metals, and the concentration of claimed CBD is actually in the product. So really, I would say there's a degree of buyer beware. You got to do the research and get to know the product and the brand that you're interested in. Obviously reviews and word of mouth can be a good source as well.
So, okay, going back to the main thing I want everyone to understand. So when it says CBD, it is CBD. When it says hemp, it's not necessarily the same thing as CBD, correct?
Exactly. Hemp as a plant you can extract from the leaves, from the stalk, from the seeds. And, there have been products from the seeds for a long time. They might be rich in omegas, but they don't contain CBD in any concentration, any useful concentration.
Well, let's shift to talking about CBD and the work you're doing and how you're seeing it really benefit women and women's health. How do we connect those dots? Why would CBD play a role in women's health? What are you seeing?
I always like to give credit to my wife for this. As I was going through product development, I was basing the concept of these categories that we have for our products, from relief to sleep to skin to PMS, off of a lot of the research I was seeing around cannabinoids. So, there was obvious information coming out in clinical trials taking place on CBD and its effect and on pain perception or pain management, certainly in sleep cycles as well. And so, the step into women's care was that we felt there was an opportunity to have a product specifically designed for women, in this category, PMS in particular, but it is a product that's addressing muscle tension primarily, discomfort as a category into itself. So it is similar to the relief category, which we're seeing a lot of research and attention around, but it's a formula designed specifically with a certain aroma. It smells fantastic. It's calming. It's comforting. The relief products we have are associated with a counter irritant, a cooling effect from eucalyptus, peppermint, and menthol. So the idea was to have a product that didn't give you that cooling effect, but rather was comforting and very pleasant to use. So that's how the product came about. And obviously, I've heard stats recently that CBD buyers are well above 50% women. Mm-hmm. And yet there's not much of a focus or attention in terms of products on the market, because many CBD products evolved from the cannabis sector, which tends to be more male focused. There has been less of a focus on women's care and women's products in the CBD sector.
Got you. And so most of your CBD products are topical, correct? You're focused mainly on topical CBD products?
We are, I'll say very shortly, announcing some ingestible products in some of the categories that we have. So we are very excited about that. But we launched as a topical brand, and we did so because the focus groups we did before launch, really the consumer was interested in a topical product that worked locally, that didn't get into your bloodstream, that didn't have a systemic effect. And so we designed our topical products to work locally, and we stayed in this topical category.
And I think a lot of people might actually resonate with that, because we already, from medications to supplements to so many other things, there's only so many ingestibles that people are having to kind of juggle. Even mm-hmm. with hormone replacement, for a lot of women, I actually prefer the topicals versus some of the ingestibles or even the dissolvables. How does CBD play a role in hormone balance for women, and at what age or stage should we be thinking about it?
Well, I find this extremely fascinating, that the endocannabinoid system, which we haven't touched on as really a system or definition yet, but the endocannabinoid system has an impact or a controlling effect on so many systems within the body. And it's really amazing that this system, only recently discovered, really not taught in any medical school, mm-hmm. But has such a broad implication if you even look at its presence of receptors throughout the body in so many tissues. So this endocannabinoid system does have a potential to impact so many different systems. It's not fully, identified and clarified as to how it functions, but the receptors are found everywhere, mm-hmm. including in reproductive function. So you see an effect of regulation from the endocannabinoid system in hormone function, in endocrine function, in reproductive function. And so, that concept in itself opens up the opportunity to research and consider products or help if needed in a variety of symptoms or conditions. We mentioned menopause as an example, and some of the sleep issues that women can develop around that. So we know that CBD has an impact on sleep. And so, there are many ways that the endocannabinoid system may be impacting women's health. And so, to me, it's an extremely exciting and broad category that I think deserves really good attention.
Fascinating stuff. What about for PMS? We talked about menopause, but what about PMS with the cramping and the pain that so many women experience? Could they rub? See, I mean, someone just asked me the other day, like, what else can I do? I don't want to take ibuprofen. I don't want to take naproxen. I don't want to take pain meds. What can I do to calm this, PMS pain down? Have you seen good results there as well?
Yeah, we see good results with this. So rubbing CBD into the lower back, lower abdomen, even upper thighs and upper glutes. I find this fascinating that you can trigger a response deeper than just the skin that you're applying it to because of some of the signaling. So you can change muscle tension, you can change pain perception. If there are very, very strong and deep either inflammatory responses or strong muscular spasms, then it's likely that an ingestible is going to have more of an effect than a topical. But for many women, the kind of typical symptoms, a PMS cream on the lower back or lower abdomen can work very well.
Good to know. I think a lot of people out there are cheering you right now. Yes,
I do. I have a little anecdotal story. I've met many people through my travels, and I happened to be in a restaurant one evening in California, and I was by myself because I travel a lot. So I'm sitting by myself in this restaurant, and these two women beside me. We happened to order the same meal, so we ended up chatting, and it came out that I was the founder of this brand and CBD products, and so one of the women had used the PMS cream for her cramps, and she ended up in tears, saying this had helped her so much. She was so grateful to have found a product like this. So, little case study, little anecdotal story, but it was a great interaction.
That's awesome. Well, what other sort of areas do topical CBD, what other areas can it help? How else is the endocannabinoid, I can't even say it, endocannabinoid system.
ECS is the easy abbreviation.
How else can that be playing a role in our overall health that we should be aware of? Maybe stuff that we're not even conscious of right now.
So, skin rises to the top very quickly. We get these unbelievable testimonials, photos of before and after for, very heavy skin issues, whether eczema or psoriasis, or, the rash and the skin issue that just didn't seem to go away, prescription medications, steroid medications, things like that. So, to me, that's an example of how prevalent the endocannabinoid system is in your skin, in your immune response in your skin. And so being able to influence that in a positive way can have tremendous effects. So that I think is fascinating in terms of an overall impact on skin. But, if you look at the number one reasons why people are using CBD, just from even a Google search, metric, it's pain relief as number one, sleep as number two, and almost tied with stress and anxiety, especially in these times, as number three. And then you get skin and cosmetic and a myriad of other reasons after that. What doesn't come up in the Google search is the impact of CBD on your immune system. So autoimmune issues is definitely on the list, including gut health. So issues you might end up with as a result of gut health. So, the immune system, the autoimmune disorders, I would just recommend people do research because there is information out there. And then, something we didn't touch on is reproductive health. If you do some research, you'll see some information about CBD, other cannabinoids, and their effect on the reproductive system. So signaling, hormone signaling, and various things.
Gotcha. What about children? Any concern? I mean, we've got some tough eczema patients, kids with a lot of different issues. Would you use it on babies or kids for some of what we're seeing?
Yeah, my standard line has to be, it should be used on adults, but it's an extremely safe molecule, safe compound. Your body's already making, I'd like to describe, a mirror image of CBD in your endocannabinoid system. So tolerance is extremely high. And so I don't have personal concerns about using it on teenagers or using it on children. And in fact, in our house, we have CBD products all over the place, and we have the teenagers come over who might have acne on their face and have seen that CBD can lower oil production and may have an antibacterial component. And then the calming effect or the anti-inflammatory effect from CBD for irritated skin can make it a very effective product for some teenagers. So, I don't have concerns about teenagers using it. And then, younger than that, I would say an ingestible form, best to speak to your doctor to get advice, and hopefully a doctor or an integrative health specialist who has some experience with CBD, because there's information out there about autism and many other issues for children. So just encourage people to read, understand the endocannabinoid system, and find a specialist who has some experience with it.
Fascinating. Is there anything CBD can't do? That might be the question.
Well, I think that's actually what creates some of the some of the concern or the disbelief for the consumer or the patient, right? Like, how can something have so many different effects? And honestly, I had that concern as I was doing my research at the beginning, that it's not, there's nothing out there that's an absolute panacea for everything, that we suffer from, right? And so, I tell people who are purchasing our products or using CBD that it may not work for you. It doesn't work for everybody, just like, a medication of some sort, will not work for everybody that it's prescribed for. But there are amazing results out there. And so I certainly encourage people to try. And just like anything, if you're going to use it, you have to use it for a long enough period to have an effect. So the person who's having a hard time sleeping and uses CBD for one night and says, "Oh, it didn't work. I didn't sleep any better." It takes time to change, sleep patterns and whatnot. But it's not going to work for everybody. It's not going to work for everything. But in terms of something that is worth trying, that has an extremely low, risk or side effect to it, that's naturally derived as a plant molecule, that has this long history of use. You can go back thousands and thousands of years of CBD use, even though it might not have been pure, CBD. The compounds, the cannabinoid compounds, were used in skin compresses and all sorts of things. So, I think it's absolutely worth trying for someone who has an issue that they're looking to improve.
Wonderful. If we want to learn more about what you're up to or about your products or your brand, what's the best place for us to go to?
Yeah, please check out our website. The last name is a little tricky to spell, but it's DrKerklaan.com.
Awesome. And you're on Instagram as well, right? You're at
yes.
drkerklaan.com. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. And
my pleasure.
An issue that so many people want to know more information about, want to know what resources they can trust. So we really appreciate you taking the time out to educate us. Okay. And for everybody else listening to this episode of Superwoman Wellness, thank you for watching the show. Don't forget, if you rate and review it on Spotify or Apple iTunes, I'll send you a free bottle of booze. Just send me a screenshot and I will see you guys next time.